Good afternoon, East Texas. Welcome on into East Texas. Now, of course, I'm your host, Michaela Goose, but we're actually joined with Kristen Washington, a candidate for State Rep District 2 position. You're running against Brent Money, who we did speak to on the show earlier this week. I believe not yesterday, day before, so that makes it Wednesday. There we go. There's that journalist math. So as I explained to you off camera, but I'll remind our viewers out there, the way that we do these interviews is we ask very similar questions between all of the candidates. So that way you get a very good compare and contrast between the two positions. So Brent Money answered very similar questions to what you are about to do as well. These topics are going to be abortion, school vouchers, because you're running for state office, and that's a very big position of debate here in Texas. We're going to be talking about the economy, and we're going to be talking about guns, as well as the border. I believe I said that one. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be starting off with the border. The current state of the Texas-Mexico border, what's your stance?
It is really draining, and it's really sad that we are not putting time and effort into revising the policies as it regards to the border. I feel as if we have a lot of work to do, and it's going to take us actually sitting down and looking at what's already in place and see where the loopholes are, where we need to be at, because a lot of things right now, we know that our border needs security. We know that we need to get a handle on what's happening on our border, but we also know that these are humans, these are families, and these are not just props that are put up to make a stop to what's happening in Texas, to growth. These are families looking for a better change and a new opportunity, so we have to invest in that somehow. And it doesn't mean just blocking them out of Texas or blocking them from the new growth. It means actually sitting down as lawmakers and seeing what have we done wrong up to this point? And how can, on the state level and the federal level, how can we come together to better make a plan for the future of Texas and our borders?
So you're looking to balance both the law, the legalness of the border, but with the morality that you yourself contain. Go with me a little bit on there. Your own personal morals, how much is that going to affect how you legislate should you be elected?
I mean, it affects everything, because I'm coming from a standpoint of a mother, as a minister, and also as a community activist. I see firsthand how we can use those coming over from the border for our workforce, especially in rural areas for agricultural work, and they are looking to come in and work. I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of us don't want to work, and they're willing to come over and they want to work and want to make a better life for themselves. But if we keep pushing them away or making laws that keep them out of the workforce, keep them out of at least attempting a new life, we are just setting a standard of failure automatically. And again, as a parent, as a person who's been in workforce development, and as a former city council member, I can see the benefit of us establishing laws that help them understand our policies and laws in Texas. And things will be different from where they come from, but we can't just put out hate. We can't put out a misinformation about what's really happening. We are literally here and elected to make the laws for a better life for everybody across the state of Texas.
So if you don't mind me asking, should you be elected, what does that look like? Does it mean more Border Patrol agents, expanding the courts, or working with the federal government to expand the courts for asylum seekers? What does that look like should you be elected?
It looks like all of that, honestly. Okay. And it's going to have to be a conversation where I have to reach across the aisle and sit down with those who don't want to work with Democrats right now to come to a solution. We have to grow up, and we have to really have the conversation of what we are going to do. Because if we continue on this separation path, we will stay where we're at right now, and we are not moving forward. We're staying stuck. Honestly, with the border, we are, in my eyes, 20 years behind, and we are not helping anyone. We're just putting a Band-Aid over it temporarily until we get back and we push it to the side and we move to a different issue, forgetting about the border is a major issue and crisis in Texas. And again, it's going to take on a federal level and a state level for the leaders to come together, no matter the party, and have a solution for this problem.
Alrighty, well, let's move forward into our next topic, and that's going to be abortion. This is a very big dividing factor, not just for us here in Texas, but for across the country. But if you're forgetting, here in Texas, we're under the heartbeat bill. We spoke with the author of that bill, Cody Harris, just yesterday. And right now in Texas, after 6 weeks, no abortions are allowed except for some smaller exceptions that were taken up to the Texas Supreme Court. You know, as a minister, as a mother, you have an interesting take on abortion, I'm pretty sure.
I do.
What is it?
My take is abortion is not meant to be just this kill-all problem. As a mother and as a single mother, and I've watched women of color who've struggled. Abortion is a big issue, but also just basic health care is a basic issue. Preeclampsia. There's so many things that happen to a woman during pregnancy or while trying to conceive. We overlook that, and a lot of the medications we need, you're trying to ban those medications, contraceptives that are very vital and influential to our health and well-being, and it's putting us at a higher risk of death. And no one really cares about our lives. You just keep saying abortion is murder and it's death, and it is, but not all abortion is meant to be that way, because some things we cannot control. There are some things with our body, when we speak about it, we're told it's going to be okay, just go to a doctor and see this. But what about in the rural areas where we don't have access to health professionals? We have to literally travel across 2 or 3 hours of a county or a city just to get the help that we need.
So moving forward, should you be elected, would you expand the exceptions when it comes to the heartbeat bill? Would you attempt to strike it down completely? What would your plan be?
I have been thinking about what my plan would be, and right now I don't have a for sure answer for you, but I am doing the best research that I can to do what's best for women across the state of Texas.
Alrighty, well then let's move forward now into guns. That's our next topic. This is also something voters have not only varying opinions on, but strong opinions on. Now, right here in East Texas, we've now been named by the Texas Tribune as a gun violence death hotspot. That means that we are having a large increase of gun deaths among many different types of populations. This isn't really something that only affects one community or another. What would you do to try and get those numbers down?
We have to make common sense gun laws. Right now, the number one cause of death for children, guns. And it used to be motor vehicle accidents, but now it's guns, and we're putting, again, a Band-Aid over an issue thinking that it'll go away. I'm wholeheartedly 100% for the Second Amendment. I believe that you have a right to carry a gun, but I also believe that we should have common sense gun laws to protect families, especially domestic violence cases, protect our children, protect those who are in the grocery stores, and stop coming up with this concept of a prayer when death happens and we know that we have the power to control and stop what's happening. You got to stop turning the eye and turning the cheek and really sit down and be like, if this was my family and this happened to me right now, what would I want to be done? And as a mother and as a minister, it breaks my heart when I have to go to a funeral of a child due to gun violence. And I watch mothers and I watch fathers, I watch families fall apart because of gun violence. And in my head, I'm thinking there is a law that could have been written in place to prevent this, and we are not speaking up. And like you say, across Texas, no matter if you're in a big city, if you're in a rural area, guns are a major issue that we must focus on. We have to get control of the guns, because if we don't, we will continue to see a high rise in death, and we're not giving our children a chance to live.
So what would that law look like?
To me, it looks like, again, sitting down across the aisle and explaining and pretty much showing Democrats, Republicans, and everybody who's in leadership, showing that in certain areas there's a high gun violence, and we need to know, why is this happening? Why are gun sales high? Stop the loopholes when you go to gun shows and buying guns. If we can stop that then, and again, Republicans always say that Democrats just want to take away your guns. We don't want to take away your guns. We want a safe and loving environment for everyone to be able to just experience life. And for me, that looks like, again, me sitting down, reaching across the aisle and hearing them out, hearing their point of view, but also showing them, let me pull you into my side for a little bit. Just see why I'm so passionate about saving lives. As a minister, I don't love going to a funeral and seeing a family broken apart. As a mother, I hate to see kids scared and terrorized and traumatized, because when we have school shootings, you have a shooting on Monday, you're out of school Tuesday and Wednesday, teachers go back Thursday, you're back in session on Friday. You're not healing. You don't have any mental break to prepare yourself to go back into somewhere that traumatized you and caused a major change in your life.
So we asked your opponent, of course, similar questions, and like many people on the other side of the aisle racing against your party, it's a matter of, you're impacting my freedom if you take away these guns, if you try and legislate in any way. And it's not a gun issue, it's a mental health problem. What's your response to that line of thinking?
We need to start investing money in our mental health facilities, doctors, hospitals, resources. I'm not trying to take away your guns. I want you to have your guns, but I want you to be responsible. I don't want kids to be able to access guns. We've seen recently where parents bought their son a gun, and then there was a school shooting. And now look at us. The son is now away. His freedom is gone. The father's life is pretty much over. He's incarcerated. That can be a family that was meant to grow. But again, here we are because we had a school shooting and we're not addressing the issues. And at some point, again, we have to be tired of sending condolences to families. You have to be able to speak to the gun issues, make common sense gun laws, make it harder for those who have a background to get access to guns. If someone calls in and report to the police station that their life has been threatened, it needs to be taken care of immediately to start finding resources for the families, for teachers who need the help. Again, we don't consider mental health as a big problem, but mental health is a big problem in our society. And if we don't address these issues, we will stay stuck in a repeat cycle of death and mentally losing people when we have the resources available. We just don't want to give them out to everybody.
Alrighty, well, let's move forward now onto a hot button topic here in the state of Texas, school vouchers. This is something that Governor Greg Abbott has really been pushing through, calling 4 separate special sessions after last regular session to try and get this one bill passed. Just based off of school vouchers, school choice, ESAs, parental choice, whatever you want to call it, what's your current stance?
My stance is parents already have a choice. So addressing the school vouchers, school choice is not a good idea. I oppose the school vouchers, especially for our rural areas, because we have to think about the low-income families or those who don't have access. From my research and from my opinion, and just from talking to different families throughout Hunt County, Hopkins County, and Van Zandt County, their main concern is when you start this voucher program, you're taking away jobs that for those local educators and administrators. You're taking away jobs. You're also forcing families to try to figure out their work life and their children's education, because a lot of parents can't afford to have a daycare, take your kids to daycare. The cost of daycare is already high enough. Yeah. And then you want to implement this program and you're not explaining how vouchers work to everyone. The biggest thing that I've learned by campaigning is everyone do not understand the voucher program. Everyone thinks that they're going to get this check and it's going to be the solve all problems to education, and it's like that is not true. So I'm going to always stand with my educators. I'm going to always stand with my retired teachers who can see that this will not work, especially in the rural areas, again, like Hunt County, Hopkins, and Van Zandt County. And I'm going to always advocate, because when you implement vouchers, you're taking away public funding from public education. You're causing teachers to have larger class sizes with no resources. That is unacceptable. I'm a product of public education. And I can tell you firsthand, I've seen the struggles, but I also have faith that if we keep the money in public education, we can better change the environment and offer vocational service for students and give them real life training and education, so when they actually graduate, you're prepared to get a job, you're prepared to live on your own, and you're not struggling in behind.
So your solution, or not solution I should say, but compromise, is instead of school vouchers, helping these kids get vocational training.
Yes.
So such as welding.
Yes.
That's what my little brother does. He is dreaming of being a welder now out in Colorado. It's his life goal in this moment. And he's been welding for 5 years now, and he's just a junior in high school.
Yes.
Is this what you're talking about?
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Working in the workforce development, working for Texas Workforce Commission, we have so many vocational programs that we don't talk about. And there are so many schools who don't understand. You can go to your local workforce office and you can partner with them for certain classes, and you can ask them from a child that's 13 all the way to 18. They can follow that career path with that case manager at the Workforce Solution and help them so when they do graduate, they maybe have certifications in welding and can get a job. They can practice on interning. And I just think that put money into those programs, put money back into making sure that we raise up children and individuals, and we support our teachers and giving them certifications that they want to take and need. I just want to, instead of us holding the money hostage, how Governor Abbott is, release the funds, put it back in public education, pay our teachers more, increase their COLA, because the 2 to 6% raise for the cost of living and the inflation how we are right now, it is not enough. It is not enough at all. Retirees are struggling, and it's really sad when you have a retiree who's struggling between, do I get this medication or do I pay this bill off this little check that I have? And again, if you put money back into public education, we are showing our community, number one, public education in some communities are the backbone of the community. So if you take that away, you're taking away family structure. You're taking away the village. But if you put money into it and support it, you bring back those old time values that we grew up and we had.
Well, you mentioned it a little bit, but let's go more in depth. The economy. Right now, Texans still pinching pennies, especially when it comes to the gas pump and the grocery stores. What would you do should you be elected in a legislation to try and bring these prices down, or at the very least help families not clutch their wallets so tight?
The very first thing that I would do is meet with the economic boards in all 3 counties and see what can we do to bring in, number one, bring in good paying jobs that are going to stay. In rural areas, we literally drive 30 minutes to an hour and a half to another city for a job, and from driving, from gas, from insurance, you don't get to enjoy any of your check. And if you want to go on vacation, what is a vacation? So I think the number one is bringing in stable jobs to the area and to the community. And number two, looking to see what is in high demand right now. I'm learning firsthand that agriculture is a major business industry, especially in rural areas. And we don't invest in our agriculture enough. And I'm having so much fun researching and talking to different people in the different counties in Hunt County, Hopkins, and Van Zandt County, and saying, how can I help you? Teach me what I need to know so I can better help and be your voice in Austin. And you will really be surprised how many farmers and landowners look at me and say, Ms. Washington, nobody has ever asked me like what I need or how I feel. And I'm like, that's why I'm here. I can't do my job if you don't tell me what you need. And by electing me, you're electing me to literally be your voice for 149 other people. You're electing me to be your voice and let them know that in East Texas, we have a problem. We need help. We need resources.
So that's all of the questions that I had for you, but your opponent took, I think, around 5 to 7 more minutes than we just did. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you want to let potential voters and our viewers know before they hit the polls?
Absolutely. I am not just your candidate. I am your daughter. I'm your niece. I am your former student. I am a previous coworker you may have had. I am your church member. I am just someone who wants to really, truly bring people to the pulpit, people to the platform, bring people back out front to let you know that you have a voice. One thing that we've gotten away with is in the past, so many leaders have taken out the true meaning of leadership. When you are leading a community and leading a district, you have to literally be able to be representation for everybody, and that is what I am. I want to be able to represent everybody, whether you are middle class, low class, whether you are single family, whether you are just now getting out of college and trying to figure out your life. I am approachable and accessible, and I take my time with everyone that I interact with to truly get to know who you are. And the only thing that I'm asking you to do is do your research on me. Go to KristenWashington.com, pull up my address, read my policies, follow me. If you have a question, inbox me, call me, ask me. But the only way that we are really going to make the change that we want to see in East Texas, especially in Hunt County, Hopkins, and Van Zandt County, is you have to show up to the polls. You have to vote down ballot, and you have to really understand that it's time for change. I'm a 37-year-old former council member of the city of Greenville, and the one thing that I really learned about being on city council is that people really want a leader who really cares about what is really happening to them in the real time. I'm not serving just for a title. I can do without the title. I'm serving to make sure that we have a better Texas to live in.
Alrighty. Now, I did just think of another question as we were wrapping up. I apologize if you only have a couple more minutes. You're a minister here in East Texas. You lead a congregation based in religion. We are a country that separates church and state. However, we have seen over the past couple of years a pretty big rise in leaders using their own personal beliefs to influence the way that they legislate. Go into it with me for just a second, how you are going to balance being a minister, being a woman of God, but also a legislator for all, even those that are not the same religion as you?
It's very easy and simple. Even before I started running for this office, the very first thing that I did was I prayed. I prayed and went to God and I asked God to show me, to tell me, and to give me a sign. Excuse me. The second thing that I did after that was I went to my pastor and I sat down with my pastor and associate minister and I asked them, am I making the right decision? And they told me, you follow your heart, but you always do what is right. And no matter who I'm speaking with, no matter what I'm doing, I do everything with love, with compassion, with empathy. And I just make sure that everyone understands that the title of a politician is nothing. The title of a minister is just a title. I am literally here to serve and be the voice for you because Jesus had to go to everybody, no matter who you were. If you were a prostitute, if you were a thief, if you were the richest man on earth, Jesus still interacted with those people. He never judged them. He helped them. And I feel as if that is what God has called me to do, to literally be the light to somebody. Because for most people, yes, I am a politician, but I'm also the only Bible that they will ever see. So I try to live my life in a manner, in a way to show you that while I am working, I'm doing my best to live what God has told me and showed me how to live. And if I can do that, I'm not going to force my religion on you. But if you want to make a change and you see something inside of me because of my religion that has sparked growth and change in you, then I'm doing my job on this side.
Alrighty. Well, finally, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to let people know?
No, nothing I can think of.
There we go. Alrighty. Once again, Kristen Washington, State Rep District 2 candidate for Van Zant, Hopkins, and Hunt counties. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yes.
There we go. Bye.